What if I told you there's a single document out there that holds the key to whether a business, a hospital, or even an entire city survives a catastrophe? A blueprint that literally separates total, absolute chaos from an orderly response. Okay, let's dive into exactly what that is.
Just think about it for a second. What can bring your entire organization to a grinding halt just like that?
Maybe it's one catastrophic weather event that just completely wipes out your infrastructure.
Or what about one single digital breach that shuts down your entire operation overnight? The thing is, when a real disaster strikes, you don't get a do-over. There are no second chances. And that is exactly where NFPA 1600 comes into the picture. Look, it's not just some boring document, it's a living, breathing strategy designed to stop those worst-case scenarios from ever becoming your reality. All right, so what exactly is this standard that carries so much weight? Let's break it down into simple terms. Put simply, NFPA 1600 is the master plan. It's the playbook. It gives any organization, and I mean anyone, from a tiny local business to a massive government agency, a clear, structured framework for getting ready for, responding to, and recovering from, well, pretty much any disaster you can think of. It covers the whole shebang. And listen, this isn't some obscure guideline nobody's ever heard of. Its credibility is absolutely rock solid. After the September 11th attacks, the 9/11 Commission actually pointed directly to NFPA 1600 and called it the National Preparedness Standard. The Department of Homeland Security agreed. I mean, that's a massive vote of confidence. And as you can see here, the standard isn't just collecting dust on a shelf. It's been evolving since way back in 1995. As new threats pop up, things like major supply chain disruptions or new kinds of cyber risks, the standard adapts. It changes to make sure it stays relevant in our crazy, constantly changing world. So we know what it is, but why should you really care about it? Well, the answer is in the absolutely devastating cost of being unprepared. Seriously, just take a second. Picture it happening in your own workplace. The alarms start blaring, panic starts to set in, and nobody has a clue what they're supposed to do. What happens next? The fallout is brutal, and it's immediate. Your operations just stop. Your supply chain completely collapses. You're suddenly facing massive financial losses. And the good reputation you spent years building, it can be destroyed in a matter of hours. This isn't just about some minor inconvenience. These are real existential threats to an organization. And check this out. This is why it's a national issue. A staggering 85% of the US's critical infrastructure, we're talking power, communications, finance, all the important stuff, is actually owned by the private sector. So their ability to get through a disaster isn't just a business concern, it's a matter of national security for everyone. Okay, so we've established the stakes are incredibly high. Now let's peek inside the playbook itself. This is what we call the All Hazards Framework, and it's designed to get you ready for pretty much anything. So how does it actually work? What are the steps you really need to take to make this happen? It all follows this really logical cycle. It kicks off with getting your leadership totally on board. That's step one. Then you move into planning by figuring out your biggest risks. After that, you implement by creating solid, concrete procedures. Then, and this is key, you practice those procedures with drills. And finally, you learn from those drills and you constantly improve. It's a continuous loop of preparation and getting better. That cycle right there, that's what makes it so powerful. It's not a one-and-done task. It's a constant state of being ready. And that planning phase is absolutely crucial. The standard demands a really tough, thorough risk assessment. The best way to think about it is like the headlights on your car, cutting through a thick fog. It's designed to light up every potential danger up ahead so you can either steer clear or brace for impact. And believe me, when they say all hazards, they really mean it. The standard forces you to look at everything, from earthquakes and hurricanes to pandemics, chemical spills, and yeah, even cyber attacks. It leaves absolutely no stone unturned, so you're not blindsided by a threat you never even thought to consider. But let's be real, a plan is just a piece of paper until you actually put it into action. And this next part, this is where the theory becomes reality. I love this quote because it just gets right to the heart of the matter. You can have the best plan in the world, but it's totally useless if your people don't know what to do. The standard, the processes, they're solid. Success or failure always comes down to the people who have to implement it. So what does implementation actually look like in the real world? Well, it means you're building dedicated response teams. You're creating super clear evacuation plans that everyone knows by heart. You're using a command system to manage the chaos. running drills over and over until the response becomes pure muscle memory, and making damn sure your critical data and operations are backed up and secure. Now, even with the best intentions, plans can fail. So let's talk about the most common mistakes so you can avoid them. This is honestly where so many organizations trip up. Here's what usually goes wrong. The plan is treated like a checkbox, just a document that sits on a shelf collecting dust. People skip the drills so the plan never gets tested, the information gets old and outdated, and when a crisis finally hits, the communication systems totally fail. The NFPA 1600 way is the complete opposite of that. It's a living, breathing program built on constant practice, continuous improvement, and rock-solid, reliable communication.
So, here's the bottom line. NFPA 1600 is not about compliance just for the sake of compliance. It's not another pile of paperwork for your desk. It is a fundamental blueprint for survival. It's how organizations protect their people, their property, and ultimately, their future.
If this explainer helped you get a handle on the real stakes of being prepared, and you want more practical, no-nonsense lessons on how to protect your organization, make sure you subscribe to HSE Study. We're breaking down complex standards just like this every single week. Stay safe out there.